Hello again. Hi, it's Jennifer Vanderbeek with scrapsoflife.com. So I'm gonna try this again. Apparently I changed a setting on my camera and I just recorded a video that I can't see. I mean, it shows up on the card, but it doesn't show up on the computer. Just one of those days. So, I don't know how this is going to go, considering I just kind of go through everything, and I'm afraid I'm going to like forget something now. But anyway, let's try this again. And that's total transparency, because obviously y'all have no way of knowing that I've already done this once. Let's see if I can bring back the spontaneity of the first one. So, hi, it is Sunday, February 28th. This makes this the week 8 Return to Creativity update. How are you guys doing? How are you? Can you wrap your minds around the fact that we're 2 months into the year already? Like, we're 1/6 of the way through 2021. And that is just amazing to me, and I'm not quite sure how to process it, to be honest. But yeah, I know they say that as you get older, it feels like time passes more quickly. And one of the theories about that is because we process time in our memories, and I'm going to butcher this. I don't even remember whose theory this is. It's just something that I read and it's living in my brain. We process time in our memories as a segment of our total elapsed time, our lifetime. And so the reason why it feels like time moves more quickly when we're older is because we have a longer lifespan, that, you know, individual moments or time periods become a smaller percentage of. Does that make sense? Did I explain that well? I don't know. You tell me. But basically, yeah, it's because like a week, a month, they felt like eternity when we were kids because we had less to compare it to. It was a greater part of our whole. Whereas now, the older we get, a month is, instead of being this much of our whole, it's this much. Anyway, time flies. And we're just trying to catch up. Okay, so let's start with a work/mental health check. Because after all, this is why I am engaging specifically in this project, and why I'm making these videos is to hold myself accountable and first and foremost, of intentionally having creativity in my daily practice, my day-to-day life, because it is one of the most effective coping mechanisms, coping skills I have to keep my brain happy, knowing now that I have ADHD, among other neuroses. So yeah, when I cut that part out of my life in favor of the responsible choice to, do more work, and just didn't have time for everything, my mental health took a nosedive and it got really bad. And so here we are. This week, I'm starting to really see how the ADHD meds are helping me. I am on Strattera, for those who are not aware or for curious. And the reason why I'm on Strattera and not one of the other big names, like Concerta, Vyvanse, Ritalin, Adderall, any of those, is because I don't handle caffeine very well. I don't handle stimulants very well. It's not just caffeine, it's stimulants. My body doesn't agree with them. My heart says, oh, you gave us something that we don't like, and it starts acting funny. So yeah, Strattera is a non-stimulant medication for ADHD, and it's one of the few out there. But I can tell that it's really working because I've noticed at work, not only am I a little bit more effective and efficient and not feeling so constantly pressured, but I have been able to like clear off sections of my desk, put things away, keep them put away, and keep those areas more or less clean. I mean, I might have stuff sitting there that I'm working on currently or I need to get back to in a moment, but at the end of the week, that section of my desk was still clear, and that does not just happen on its own in my world. I am very much a out of sight, out of mind person, and apparently that's really common with the ADHD brain because we struggle, or some ADHD brains, not everybody is the same. There's just no one size fits all. But I am in the subset that struggles with object permanence, as in, if we don't see it, we might forget we have it. If I have something that's put away in a drawer that I need to deal with, unless something is outside of it, unless I've got it something written down, and unless somebody's reminding me of it, that might as well be in a black hole. It's like when people come to me and they say, "Oh, when you have you don't have to do it right now, but when you have a moment." First of all, I never have moments, but when you have a moment, could you do ABC? And I'm like, eh. And I'm like, okay, hold on. And they're like, you don't have to do it right now. And I tell them, I was like, look, if I don't stop and do it right now, I'm going to forget until you come and ask me some other time, It's just, and if I can't stop what I'm doing, then I have to write a note otherwise, and then I have to make sure I don't lose the note. Such are the travails. But I'm noticing some changes at work. I'm also on a couple of medications, Lexapro and Buspar. Well, it's Buspar or whatever is the generic. They don't sell Buspar under its trade name for reasons. I'm just going to still call it Buspar because it's easier, it's recognizable. I'm on both of those for my anxiety, and then the Lexapro is also to kind of help with some other stuff. And my doctors, both my therapist and my primary care physician, they've asked me, every time I see them, they're like, okay, do you think it's working? Do you think we need to increase? Because I'm still on low doses for both. I didn't actually, at the beginning, I really didn't want to go on meds. Because, geez, I just had issues with it. Not physical issues or anything. I didn't like the thought of being on more medication. But you get to a point where you're like, okay, I can't do this on my own. I do need help. And so it's a combination of meds and therapy for me. This is what is working right now. And I do know that like the anxiety and mood swings and whatnot they're better. They're lessening. But they're still there. And the whole point isn't to like completely obliterate them. It's to make them easier to handle. So, at my regular checkup, it was, end of year, or, and we were just going into January. Well, that's a stressful time anyway because of my job, because of the deadlines and everything. And I'm like, I don't want to make any decisions right now because I don't know if my increased anxiety is just due to this one thing. Well, then we get to February. February, I'm talking with my therapist, and I'm like, okay, February is one of those months where my PTSD likes to act up because it's the same time frame that stuff happened, the stuff that contributes to the PTSD. And so I was like, yeah, I don't want to make any changes right now because it might just be this. And I find myself saying, well, it might just be this, it might just be that. And I'm starting to realize that, well, there's always going to be something that it might just be. And the whole point is that I am not handling those things as well as I could be. And so maybe it is time to look at upping one or both of those meds just a touch to see if I am able to more effectively moderate the highs and lows. So yeah, there's that. And I share that in the interest of transparency, maybe helping to remove some of the stigma. and also, you know, if you're just doggone curious, there you go. We'll see. But anyway, I go back to my therapist in 2 more weeks, and yeah. So I'll see how these next couple of weeks go, and then, you know, we'll revisit the question then. So that is the work and mental health side. This week on the specific creativity side, I kind of had a lot going on. Let's kind of start with a couple of the ongoing things. My Friday night knitting continues. This is the ice skating pattern from the Arne and Carlos Christmas Ball Advent Calendar 2020 pattern set, which is available on their website. And I just gotta say, I mean, these little Christmas balls, they take about an evening to do. This one actually bled into, horrible term, but anyway, it carried over into Saturday evening, because Todd and I ended up having kind of a late-ish supper, and then didn't watch as many programs as we normally would, or as we usually do. And I think I was also doing some puzzles and stuff on, like, a puzzle game on my phone for part of the time, maybe a little bit longer than I normally would. Anyway, I still got my ornament done for the week, and it's really nice to have, like, my Friday night knitting. So I think that was a really good idea. It is kind of a touchstone now for my week. I know that I just, you know, when it's time to sit down and chill out and watch TV with hubby, that, you know, I just grab my bag that's got all my gear in it, bring it into the living room, and I can get started. And I love that. And I, you know, am starting to build up this stack of pretty little ornaments that, you know, at some point I will press and, you know, block and stuff and finish with their little hangers. And yeah, that's cool. I think so, at least. Anyway, the other ongoing project, of course, was the little stuffy project. And last week I was, you know, acknowledging that I needed to do another prototype, because I think because I was thinking that the front was going to become the back and the back was kind of become the front. Yes and no. So last week I had said that, okay, this, like, protruding, you know, part here needed to be softened, and that was the case. So I made another one. Yep, now we got two. We got two little dudes. And I did soften that curve, although what I discovered was that when I add the legs, the stitching the legs on in such a way that they are jointed actually can pooch out the tummy or tush, depending on which way you're looking at it, a little bit more if I get those too tight. So that's something that I have to be careful of. It's not a pattern issue, it's a soft sculpting issue. But I've gone back on my thought that the back is the front and the front is the back, at least for the body. Because after softening the rump hump, the rump-hum-hum-hum, oh, it's my least favorite Christmas carol, one of them. So yeah, we're not going to go there. But anyway, after softening that curve, and putting another little set together, little dude together, I actually do like that as the back. I think it makes sense to have that as the back, and the flat tummy, the flatter piece as the tummy. I do, and it kind of works for an idea that I have. You know, this back seam being in the back does help with an idea I have for later on. So yeah, I'm gonna keep. I think because, you know, nothing's set in stone. This is my own little concoction here. Nothing is set in stone. So I think the back seam is still going to stay the back seam for the body. What I have determined, though, is that the flat piece of the head, of the three-piece head, that belongs in the back. So it makes a lot more sense to have a flatter back for the head and a curved back for the body. and then have a protruding, you know, part for the face. So this one, this original head, had a little bit more of a pointed, you know, snout, chin kind of area. And so that's my next project, is to reform the head shape so that it looks more like a muzzle or snout. Yeah, that's gonna be the next part. But I did figure out the head joining thing, because like this dude, yep, he can do the full Linda Blair. Yeah, we got that. I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know, I know there's a way to do it, and it's probably not that difficult, and it's not. There's a few different ways to do it, and I, you know, looked up a couple of YouTube videos, and I'm like, yep, that's pretty much what I thought. Okay, moving on. So that's solved. So yeah, I just kind of have to, I have to work on the face a little bit. So there's that. So did I start any new projects this week? Of course I did. I'm me. So I've had an idea for a while, knowing that when it comes to drawing, when it comes to artwork, you know, I have lots of different outlets, lots of different ways to complete a project, but line work is where I think I excel. It's my own opinion, is my line work is my strongest suit when it comes to drawing and sketching. You know, it goes back to, I mean, I spent years on it when I had my webcomic, or both webcomics, and while I can do color renditions and stuff and paint and all that stuff, line work is where I excel. So I have had the idea for a while that I might want to get into creating adult coloring books. And that's that adult coloring books, I mean grown-up coloring books, not adult coloring books. No, we're not. No. I'm sure those exist, folks. I mean, it's the 21st century. I'm certain they exist. I'm not going to go searching for them. But yeah, so there's that. But where to start? Well, I have a whole list of things that I want to turn into, like adult coloring books, adult activity books kind of thing. But I am starting with my 2018 Inktober series. That was actually, I think that was the first year that I actually completed the entire Inktober challenge, which is, if you're not familiar, it usually takes place on Instagram, and a prompt list will be sent out. And the idea is to take those prompts, or any prompts, or, you know, no prompts. I mean, you don't have to use the prompt list. The prompt list is there to, you know, help inspire. And how many times can I say prompt list in like 5 minutes? But in 2018, I realized that in order to complete the challenge, what I was going to need to do was I was going to need to keep things simple to an extent, not overthink the drawings, not overwork them, and it would help if I had a theme, because I love themes. Themes for me are a way of shrinking down the possibilities to a manageable amount. Some people refer to this as analysis paralysis, when you have so many options that you don't know what to choose, and you get bogged down in the research and the pro cons and the, you know, just trying to make a decision. If you can streamline down your options or restrict your possibilities, then you can pick one and move forward. So in my case, I decided the first prompt of the year was poisonous. I immediately thought of snake, and so I decided to do the entire series at the entire month, drawing the same little snake dude in all the various circumstances or styles that the prompts prompted. And it worked. And you see, I even added color, which is not something I would normally do. And of course, that makes turning them into a coloring book, you know, an extra step. But that's okay. I don't mind it. I truly don't. But yeah, so I have decided to turn this little dude, whose name is Sammy the Snaggletooth Snake, rattlesnake or sidewinder. I think he's got rattlesnake markings, and a sidewinder is a type of rattlesnake, but I don't know that he has the right markings for a sidewinder, so I don't want to, like, you know, I don't want to trip myself up on that one, but he's just Sammy the Snaggletooth Snake. And so what I am having to do then is, and this is the last one, is redraw these guys into the proper orientation for a coloring book, and maybe build out the backgrounds a little bit. And I even have a little story in mind to kind of draw them all together, because that appeals to me. Yeah, and so this week, well, first I had to find my original art. A very ADHD artist moment. Maybe it's all artist, I don't know, but it feels like a very ADHD thing to me. I knew I had him in a sketchbook, and I thought I knew where that sketchbook was, because even though my area is a bit chaotic and messy, something I do need to start, you know, taming again. I usually know where things are. It's organized chaos is the concept, right? I'm sure you're familiar with that. Well, I was pretty sure I knew where the sketchbook was. I was wrong. In fact, I pulled out the one that I thought it was and was like, wait, no, it's not this half-filled sketchbook, it's the other half-filled sketchbook. And I could have told you that it was the one with the red cover and not the blue cover, and other things about it, and that it has the, you know, I could like see it in my head. I just couldn't see where I put it. And it took me a couple of nights to find it. And I did find it in a very unusual place. I don't know why I had it with my stacked canvases. Go figure. I was sitting at this desk and needed to make some space, and just kind of, oh, here, I'll put it there, rather than the box with the other, you know, smaller art supplies or things, or on the stuff that used to be on my desk that I moved to make way for my pen display. At any rate, I did find it. But before that, I knew, because I'd taken pictures on my phone to be able to post to Instagram, I knew that I had those archived, and so I went ahead and I downloaded the first ones just in case, and got started. So I have the first page finished. It's going to take me a little while to redraw these guys, but I don't mind. The hard part, the conceptualizing, the layout and everything, all that's done. Basically, I just need to recreate the art with the tools that I have now, and that's actually not so bad. But what I am going to need to do, because I've got the Stuffy project, and I've got the the comic book, no, not getting back into those, I don't think, the coloring book project, and I still have my fiber projects and stuff. I need to create some sort of system or schedule to kind of help keep me honest during the week. Because what works at work is knowing that on certain days I do certain tasks to make sure I fit everything in each week. And I think I need something similar for home. So like my Friday night knitting, well, that's great. Now granted, if I'm only doing Friday night knitting, then I'm not going to work on any of my other projects at all, and that's not going to work. So, you know, setting aside some other time for fiber projects, probably going to be a good idea. Setting aside some time for the coloring book redraws, that's going to, you know, that's going to be good. Setting aside some time to work on the Stuffy pattern and sort those out. Yeah, and then making time for everything else, even the non-creative stuff like housekeeping. I'm so bad at that. Although I did finally get my act together enough to go upstairs and clean the bathtub upstairs. Something I'd been meaning to do for a while. I'd bought cleaner for it a while back, and I had it sitting next to my sewing machine because of course that's where it belongs. No, that's just where I put it after I opened the Amazon box. And then the last time I cleaned up this area, this room, tidied up. Clean is relative, tidied up, tried to reorganize, whatever you want to call it. I had put it away. I had taken it out of this room where it did not have a logical reason for being other than this is where everything kind of comes to rest for a while. And I thought I'd put it with other cleaning supplies. So that when I said, okay, I need to go scrub the bathtub. Yeah, I couldn't find it. Couldn't find the cleaning products. I'm like, why is it not here? So I was looking in all the logical places for it. And this includes logical to only me. And I couldn't find it. Turns out I'd been walking past it for a couple weeks. It was sitting on the opposite shelf of where I was looking with the games. Why it was sitting, and it was out in the freaking open, y'all. This is this is a good example of how the brain just kind of it's like tunnel vision when you're not. Anyway, it happened to catch my eye I guess last weekend, and I was like, oh, that's where it is. I don't know why it's there. I don't know if I put it there, if I put it somewhere else and it got moved. I don't know. Things have a way of getting up and walking off. I don't know what happened. Anyway, but I found it finally. And so Wednesday night when I got home, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go clean the bathtub. And I did it. And it may not sound like a big deal, but for me, it was. I managed to actually do, and I put it down in my calendar, and not that that is a guaranteed thing, you know, just listing it in my planner isn't a guarantee that it's going to get done. But yeah, I managed. So, yeah. So the other things that I did this week, of course, cooking, because meal preps are something I do every other week. I did my usual meal prep yesterday, Saturday, and this is something that I will continue to do, even though I was really good this week, guys. I only worked past 6 o'clock one day this past week. That in and of itself is an accomplishment. And even though I may have curbed the tide of working late so often, I still think, you know, getting home from work and being tired and not wanting to cook is a common feeling. It's not just limited to the last couple of years, even though goodness knows that didn't help. So I think I'm still going to do the meal preps every other Saturday when it's my turn. Just because having that freedom and flexibility for the first few nights of each week, knowing that I don't have to come home and cook, I can spend time, you know, dinner's made, I can spend time working on one of these other projects or tidying up the house or doing whatever is a really good thing, or just relaxing. Sometimes that's really important too. So, but yeah, so I did a bunch of cooking yesterday. I made 3 sets of lunches and dinners, and even made some like kind of fancy Rice Krispie treats. I got a lot of recipes for this week off of TikTok, and I'm not mad about it because those little 1 minute clips have a lot of good information in it. It's not just goofy dance moves on that platform. I'm really impressed and pleased with the amount of information, useful stuff that I've gotten off of there. But yeah, and also I was able to, Saturday morning, I was able to go out and into the garden and harvest a bunch of herbs and kale that had just, I've left them mostly to their own defenses, the last couple of months, because I planted some things I'd gotten from Lowe's, back in the fall, and then, you know, work, weather, time of getting home, it being dark. I'd gone out to the garden tower using my cell phone flashlight to check and make sure everything was okay, you know. I've done that before. Yeah, but for the most part, because of, you know, everything going on, they were left to their own devices, not defenses, devices, that's what I meant to say. And they did really well. My parsley was like amazing. My cilantro was just, hello. And the kale was grown up very tall, and I was like, all right, this is awesome. So I went and I harvested. I didn't get everything. You know, I didn't want to like completely empty things because I want that to keep going as much as possible, and I'm going to add to it now that we're getting, you know, once we get closer to the planting season and it's safe to do so. But you know, I was really happy. It gave me like a really a true natural high just to be out there and clipping things in the garden and taking out some, some stems that, had died off and just needed to be removed to get ready for the next plants, and working in the garden, and then bringing that stuff inside. And then as I was cooking, going into this basket and pulling out what I needed, the fresh herbs, the kale, the green onions, oh my gosh, that was like, it was very aesthetic, in the common vernacular. It was totally a vibe, again, to use the slang. I know, I really shouldn't try. But oh my gosh, it made me so happy. I was like, yes, this is why I wanted a garden. This is what I wanted out of life. And it felt really good. And then the rest of it, what I didn't use immediately, I loaded up the dehydrator that Todd got me for Christmas, and kind of left it to do its own thing. And so we'll now preserve the other stuff that I took out of the garden so that we can use it in later weeks. And that's a cool thing. I'm looking forward to what I can get out of the garden this year. In fact, earlier today, I went out and Todd was clearing out some of the overgrowth on the sides of the yard, getting ready to hopefully put privacy fencing in as much as possible, so we can have a little bit of peace and quiet maybe from some of our neighbors. Yeah, good fences make good neighbors, right? Speaking of the house, the roof is still doing well. Yay. Todd hasn't quite gotten back into the bathroom renovation, but that's okay. I'm not gonna rush him. I know he's wanted to get the backyard cleaned up too, and he's got plans to build us a new shed out there from the one that Hurricane Michael took out via tree. So yeah, that's what's going on for me, for us. How about you? What have you been up to? As always, I'd love to hear. Leave the comments down below. If you choose to post, like on Instagram or whatever, any creative projects that you've been inspired to do or that are helping your mental health or your well-being, remember to tag them, Return to Creativity, and I'll look for them and give you kudos, thumbs up, hearts, or if you just want to talk about them down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this version of the video is actually like visible on the memory card when I get back over to my computer, and I can edit this and we'll be good to go. If it's not, take 3 could be really rough, folks. But other than that, I hope you have a really awesome week ahead. I hope you find things to do and make time for yourself to build the life you want, the way you want, even if it's just 15 minutes a day. And I will see you guys next week. And thank you so much for joining. See ya. Bye.